SpaceX Falcon Heavy launch date, what is causing delays? When will the rocket take off? An attempt to launch a static fire test of the 230-foot-tall rocket's 27 Merlin main engines has been delayed. The aerospace firm, headed by Tesla co-founder Elon Musk, has been pushed back twice from Monday. The impressive Falcon Heavy can lift over double the payload, or cargo, as the next closest rocket. The monstrous rocket will take a Tesla Roadster on its dummy payload but is capable of lifting 54 metric tons, 119,000 pounds, into space. This, according to SpaceX, is the equivalent of a 737 jetliner loaded with passengers, crew, luggage and fuel. The spacecraft was designed with the potential to lift humans into space, perhaps to the Moon or even Mars in the future. Currently this launch is targeted for no earlier than late January 2019, with a date and time to be determined. The Kennedy Space Center. When is the static test fire? SpaceX was planning on testing fire of the rocket at 3 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. GMT, on Friday, January 18. The dedicated teams would have 6 hours, until 02:30 am GMT, to fire the engine. However, it seems that SpaceX has postponed the static fire test without a replacement date. It is now thought that the test could take place anytime between Friday, January 18, and sometime next week. When will the SpaceX Falcon Heavy be launched? The rocket will be launched into space no earlier than late January 2018. SpaceX is yet to set a specific time or date in stone, possibly because a static test fire has not been completed yet. The Kennedy Space Center said, currently this launch is targeted for no earlier than late January 2019, with a date and time to be determined. After a successful static fire test, it will be easier for the company to determine a specific date. If everything goes as planned, the rocket's inaugural flight will be ready for liftoff from Kennedy Space Center's Pad 39A in Florida. What is causing delays? An attempt to launch the massive rocket at 1 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. GMT, on Tuesday, January 16 was cancelled due to logistical and safety concerns. Spaceflight journalist Chris Bergen said that things were a bit too quiet to plan a test for that day. However, the Kennedy Space Center has reportedly kept in place a roadblock to prevent vehicles from driving past. This could imply that SpaceX still intends to fire off the engines. Bergen said on Twitter, "KSC is in roadblock stance, so they will do some testing it would seem, but we will have to wait for the static fire itself. Falcon Heavy is still an experimental and largely untested rocket, meaning delays are expected." The world's most powerful rocket is working out the inevitable kinks and bugs that arise during testing. Because of the launch of the United Launch Alliance (ULA) Atlas V rocket, the static fire test has been delayed without a replacement date. The SpaceX team are required to support the forthcoming launch. Once the ULA launch has successfully taken place, SpaceX should have at least a week of uninterrupted range support. SpaceX recently filled the vertical Falcon Heavy spacecraft with fuel at the Kennedy Space Center, showing it was preparing for testing.